Thank you for this day. Thank you for the gift of life and salvation and all you've done for us. As we are going for this lesson, we pray that we'll understand everything and that you'll go ahead of us. We also pray for a good network connection, that we shall not have any interruptions and that we shall be participative. In Jesus' name I've prayed. Amen.
Okay. Thank you. I hope everyone is okay. Today, in the lesson, we have Mrs. Kavma on board, teacher Deborah, Miss Nambrige Irene, and teacher Prosi, plus other teachers of English. So you're safe, because there are so many in our lesson and they are helping out. Any problem you're getting, you can raise it in a chat or you can ask. Many of us are on and we can take care of it. So, who can remind us?
Things will be in the paper and you don't know. There's a time.
Can we mute ourselves, please? Let's mute. So, last time we looked at a theme, children at work, and then we looked at summary writing as an aspect under comprehension. And then we had a few of rules that govern summary writing as per this stage S1, because as you go on, there's summary writing 2, there's summary writing 3. At different age or different stages, we will be adding onto that topic. But for this level, I think that is enough. And I want to request someone to remind us of what we did last week. Teacher Irene can help us get the hands. Anyone who can remind us?
We have Petra.
Petra, please.
Last week we studied about child labor, and then we studied about summary writing as a topic in comprehension, and that was like governance.
Okay, can someone give us some of those rules, some of those guidelines?
It should be written in only one paragraph.
It should be written in only one paragraph. However, how many the points are, they should be in one paragraph for this level.
We should read the whole text, and whatever word we see that we don't understand, we search that we can understand whatever the whole text is saying.
So we should read and understand the whole.
You were not reading what part now we are. You don't learn agriculture. You don't learn. I learned agriculture. You got let's if I'm not putting up my hand.
Mute yourselves.
Okay.
Sorry about that. We should read the text and understand. And if you see a word that is new, do not leave it before you get to know, because it could be helping you to understand, or it is enhancing the point that you may want to pick out. So make sure that you don't leave any word that you don't understand. You look them up or you ask. Or another one.
Kahuga Charity.
We also learned that as you summarize the text given, you should stick to the question. You should not change what is in the question. Yeah, but you just get out of summarizing, but not changing what.
Yes, that is very right. We should stick to the question. We shouldn't give our own opinion Even if let's say the question is about poverty, or it's about safety in school, you know about safety in Kobe, but the question says give reasons as to why there's a lot of safety in Hutch. You stick to Hutch. That is just an example. Is that okay? So stick to the question and do not give your own opinion. Another one.
Bravo, Carl.
We should also organize our notes according the ideas in the notes in a logical order, and we must show the same argument.
That is very right. That is very right. They must be in a logical order. First things first. That is correct. So we had that passage of I think everyone has it now. Of children at work. Labor something. I hope everyone has it, and we had a question about it. So someone said,
Excuse me, teacher.
yes, please.
Irene, we request that you mute as the press is speaking. You mute because we are getting feedback.
Oh, sorry, I forgot. Sorry about that. Okay. So we had that passage about child labor. And after reading that, can I have someone to read for us that passage? Because we are going to pick out the points that we are supposed to do. We are supposed to pick out. For someone who has it at home, because I tried to pick out some work from that passage, because it said, after reading the passage, I hope everyone read the passage. Above, write what you have learned about children who work. Is that okay? So before I could summarize my work, I had to have a title for it. And I have to get that title from my work, from the question. And that is to say, what I learned about children who work. What I learned about children who work. Because we said we pick the title from the question. And the question says, after reading the passage above, write what you have learned about children who work. What you have learned about children who work. And of course, we have the passage. We have the passage there. Thank you, Teacher Deborah, for screening. And of course, we had to try and pick out the answers. We had to try and pick out the answers. After finding our title, in this case, we can make a draft or we can outline anywhere at this level. We can do anything. But now, let's try and pick out some of the points or some of the of what is required by the question. I hope everyone has their question, and I would like you to help me pick out some of the answers. Though I sent a sample to Google Classroom, but now let's try and pick out the points if we understood what I taught last week. So can I have some hands? Can I have some hands of people to give me some of the points? Did you get the passage? Did you try out the work? Yes, Chirabo Pal Hannah.
Teacher, I'm trying, but I think the second line is a key point that we need, because we're supposed to write a summary of what we've learned about children who work. Maybe they are, because it says this activity prevents them from enjoying their childhood. So I
That's
think it's
one point. That these children who work do not enjoy their childhood. Thank you. Then we have Charity, Kahuga Charity.
Another point that we can get from the first paragraph is that there is work that children do to help their families, but then there is work that is too much for the children and like it's unacceptable and it's violation of their rights.
It violates their rights. That is okay. That work that is hard. That is also another point. Let's continue. Namagambe Marjorie. Namagembe, sorry, Namagembe.
Teacher, I also think that on the first point, there's also as they say, this type of activity prevents them from enjoying it, which includes good health and education, and binds them to life of poverty.
Yes, it prevents them from enjoying their childhood. And by the way, you don't you can have the points, but you do not need to use the same words. You can put them, or you can try to put them together and come up with a one simple sentence. Is that okay? Let me have another hand to give me another point. Another hand. Yes, Chirabo. Chirabo Pearl. No. Someone else? Atukunda Vanessa.
Teacher, I think also this point which says about 168 million children aged that should also be included.
No, we said we should avoid words, examples. We should avoid illustrations, explanation. But if there is a point in it, you try and fix it together. For example, child labor binds them to a life of poverty and want. A life of poverty and want. Let's avoid explanation. Let's avoid examples, so that we do something brief, very brief, and to the point. Let's have Davina.
Teacher, I think this point where they're saying that they are used by adults in illicit activities.
Yes, that is right. Child labor is a serious violation of children's rights, and such children are used by adults in illicit activities. Of course, there are those things like drugs, but you don't need to give examples because we want to keep it as brief as possible. Remember, we are summarizing. Then let's have Crown. Can we have Crown?
Point of about 168 million children aged 5 to 17. Can you just say about, okay, can you say millions of children, millions of young children? Or is that changing the meaning?
You can say many children, then you go on. You don't need to mention the
So
Another one? Yes, Crown, I'm losing you.
Yeah, I'm saying, can you put that?
Okay. Let's have the last one as we've lost you, Crown. We've not heard what you've said, but let's have the last one. Kahuga, is your hand still up?
Sure, I want to ask a question where I have
Yes.
said that we don't give examples, like in the second paragraph where it says about 168 million children aged 5 to 17 are engaged in child labor, which includes slavery and slavery-like practices, and so on. Are we also not allowed to give those examples?
No, you're not allowed. We've just called them illicit activities. Are we together?
Okay. Yes.
Yes. So that we make it as brief as possible. We have a point, but we are brief as we have to be as brief as possible, so that we don't the number of words. In most cases, they are given the number of words, but at this we only a paragraph. Only a paragraph, but in a few words, because there are few points. I think the last one, and then we go to another topic. Of course, there is this other point. People, can we mute ourselves? Sorry, do you have something? Please, people, let's mute ourselves. And then let me give you the last one. These children, there is this last one here. They are denied rights of education and suffer frequent exposure to violence. They suffer frequent exposure to violence. Are we together? As our last one. And in a few words, I think I have all the points. If the examiner is looking for some points, I have them. And I have the title. I think you have the title. What I have learned about children who work. And then just below, at the bottom right, we put there the number of words. Remember, teacher Mrs. Kavma taught us how to count our words properly. I remember she was so clear. And then if you think it will take time for you, you can just count them 1 up to whatever it is, from 1 up to maybe 80 or to 50. As simple as that. On the bottom right, you can put, for example, 50 words. As the sample I put as the sample I put in the Google Classroom. Thank you. Let me take you back to Teacher Deborah for a word.
Excuse
She
me,
has
teacher.
something for you. Yes, please.
I was asking, okay, I needed some verification. Like on this part where they tell us that and the children are used by adults in elite activities. Is it fine if you say and the children are used by adults in activities that are illegal? Is it fine to like change the words and put your own?
Very okay, because you have had one word illegal. Of course, drug abuse is illegal. Sexual exploitation, it is illegal. Child soldiering is illegal. So that is very okay. And that is creative. Thank you very much. Let's
You're
have
welcome.
Teacher Deborah.
Okay, good morning, girls. Good morning, teachers. I know that we are well. And I want to take us to something else. I don't know, I am still seeing people's hands up. Tendo Tamali, what do you want to say?
Teacher, I wanted to ask, are we writing all that in one paragraph?
The teacher said quite clearly that when writing a summary, we write that summary in one paragraph. Please mark that even if they say in not more than 120 words, they'll still come in one paragraph, okay? But I believe we'll have more time to summary writing. This is just the introduction, okay?
Thank you, teacher.
So,
yes.
Okay, could you lower your hand now? I am going to be quite swift because the topic I'm talking about is quite familiar to you, okay? Even when at home, you're going to find that you have answers to some of the questions I'm going to ask this morning, okay? If you have any more questions concerning summary writing, kindly post in the chat and the teachers will attend to you. For now, let's look at this familiar subject, okay? We have environment and pollution. And a quick question, what do you know about the environment? Remember, I said I'm going to be swift, so think very fast and let me know. Teacher Pressy and Teacher Julie will be taking your hand. So what do you know about the environment? When a person mentions environment, what comes to your mind?
Yes, Mayanja Martha.
I would say that the environment, I would say that environment are things around us.
Things like?
The trees, buildings.
The trees, buildings.
Deborah, how many do you want?
3 should do.
Okay, Tendo Tamali.
When someone talks about environment, I understand that environment are the things around us.
Thank you. Then Primrose Mutumba.
When we talk about environment, I think of the things that surround us, like the lakes and the rivers.
Thank you very much.
That is the end.
Okay, so people have mentioned that when we talk about the environment, there are things which surround us, really. They've mentioned lakes, I've heard of rivers, well, I haven't had people talk about plants, but they surround us. So when we talk about environment, basically the things that surround us. Now that we've talked about environment, what do you know about environmental pollution? Have you heard of the word pollution before? When a person says there is environmental pollution, what comes to your mind?
How many hands do you want, Teacher Deborah?
3.
Okay, 3. Can we have Naguja Teopista? Your hand is up. Naguja. Okay, let's have a Theo.
Teacher,
Yes, Naguja.
I was saying, what comes to my mind is environmental pollution is the emission of harmful substances that degrade the environment.
Okay,
thank you.
Nathan, thank you. And Apio Grace.
Teacher, what comes to my mind is when the environment is contaminated.
Okay, and lastly now, Unia Kabgo.
When you talk about environmental pollution, what comes to my mind is environmental pollution is a contamination of the physical and biological components of the earth.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Shall Percy, are they 3 already?
Yes, please.
Oh, you people have been giving very brilliant answers. I even lost count. So thank you for the responses. And you surely know a lot about environmental pollution and the environment. So we have 2 images in that slide. We have talked about the environment. We've also talked about environmental pollution. In those 2 images, which one indicates what? I want to see if there's some who can relate by looking at the 2 images. Only 2 people, Teacher Percy will do. What is reflected in those 2 images? Any hand? Says Kavuma, am I being heard?
Yes. Yes, we have crown.
Okay, most images are reflecting the environment. The second one looks like a polluted environment with a lot of rubbish. Even the trees and grass don't look healthy. Yeah.
Then let's have Jiwenji. Mutumba.
First picture, I see the natural environment. And then in the second, I see a polluted environment.
Cool, good.
Okay, thank you very much. Teacher Presti, just one hand. In which environment would one wish to stay of the 2?
Cynthia. Let's have Cynthia. Which of the 2 would you want to stay?
I would want to stay in the first environment.
The first one, wow. Teacher, over to you, Teacher Deborah.
Okay, so from what you have mentioned, I've gathered that pollution can happen in water because you said these are the things surrounding us. So there is water pollution. Then we could also talk about the air pollution because someone is saying emission of poisonous whatever into the environment, that is pollution. There is soil pollution, as is the case in this image, where we are seeing a lot of garbage on land, okay? I don't think that the animals here are happy because they hardly have what to eat. So when we talk about pollution, it really covers quite a number of aspects. When you see, for example, the gases in the first image, when you see the water full of polythene bags, when you see this tree covered in garbage, okay? All we are seeing is pollution. I'm sure people are wondering, what exactly are we learning this morning? You are yet to find out, okay? And I am sure it won't be new. So, before I probably expose that slide, I have a question for you.
So, Deborah, are you there?
Are you getting me now?
Now we are getting you.
Okay. I think
the question
this morning. The question is, what do you think should be done to stop the pollution of the air, water, and the soil? When someone was asked to pick of two environments, they picked on one that really looks good, okay? So I am wondering, do you think pollution should go on? If not, what should be done to stop the pollution of the air, the water, and the soil?
Let's have Nakalema Allen. Nakalema Allen. Nakalema, are you there?
Teacher, I think yes, teacher. I think they could take like plastic bottles for recycling and also ban the rubbish to prevent all that pollution.
Thank you very much. I want people to take note of the word could, okay? Okay, another answer?
There's Queen Esther.
So we should put up strict laws for people who pollute the environment, like throw rubbish. Like if they pollute, like or throw rubbish in the environment, like they should be able to pay a fine or they should clean it.
Very good, thank you. People should take note of the word should. Another person.
Hosanna.
To me personally, I think people should stop like throwing polythene bags because like they suffocate like the soil. Yeah.
Okay, very much. So she's also talking about should, okay? Now we have should and we have could. Who knows what those two represent? We always use them, like I have had you use them right now. So what do you think those words stand for? Any idea? When a person says, I should style up. When a person says, we could put strict laws so that people stop polluting the environment. If a person says, we may really have to enforce, there is the word may. What do those words represent? Teacher, press any trials?
Let's have people's hands. Please, some of your hands have been.
Nakalembe's hand is up. Nakalembe.
Nakalembe, have you disappeared? No one else trying?
There is Chirabo Eunice, Hope.
Yes, teacher, I would like to try. When you say we could put up posters or we could put a fine for who pollute the environment, like you're saying that we can put that as an option. But if you say we should, it's like you're saying we must do this, we must do that. But if you use could, like saying we might have this option to do this. It's like you're saying, it's like you're putting it as an option. But if you say we should, it's like you're saying it's a must that we have to do it.
Okay, thank you very much. We've also talked about can. Now I am introducing you to a group of words. So far you've talked about can, we've talked about should, we've talked about could. Which words are those? Are they verbs? Are they adjectives? Are they nouns? What are they?
Vivian, Sandra?
They are verbs.
Okay, thank you very much. They are verbs. Which kind of verbs? Remember, we said a verb is a doing word. So which kind of verbs are these? We are now closer to the answer.
I think they are modal verbs.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. She is talking about modal verbs. And I am sure some people are now scratching their heads. What are modal verbs? Have we talked about modal verbs before? Yet you've been using them every day. So I have a few sentences here and they'll be accompanied by questions, okay? One of the sentences says, we should not burn polythene bags. It pollutes the environment or the air, okay? The other one says, we shouldn't have burnt polythene bags. Now our people are suffering from lung diseases. My question is, which sentence offers advice? Which sentence offers advice? And which one suggests that it might be too late or that it is too late? There are two. Which one presents advice? Which one suggests that it is too late? Any hand?
There are many.
Two people should be enough.
Maybe we listen to Vanessa. She hasn't said anything. Atukunda Vanessa.
The first sentence offers advice, and then the second one is saying that it may already be too late.
Thank you very much for the aspect of time. Let's go to the next pair of sentences so that we save time. We could stop air pollution if we planted more trees, okay? We could have stopped some of the air pollution, but we didn't think of planting trees. These are different sentences. Which sentence says it is too late to stop the air pollution? Which sentence says it's too late to stop the air pollution?
Nantale, Naila. Nantale.
The second sentence says it's too late.
Very good. Thank you, Nantale. We have the third pair. It would be a good idea not to pollute our lakes. It would have been a good idea not to pollute our lakes. Which sentence says the lake has already been polluted? Which
Naguja
sentence?
Topista Naguja.
I left my hand up.
I haven't heard you. Come again.
Okay, let's listen to Lena.
The last sentence suggests that the lakes have already been polluted. And then the first one says that the lakes have not yet been polluted.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, these sentences have all used modal verbs like we mentioned. Remember, we talked about should, could, and we have introduced would. However, we see that they mean different things. So let's take a look at what modal verbs are. Okay. We have defined modal verbs as verbs used to express possibility, ability to do something, or preferences. Possibility, that is the possibility of something happening. Ability to do something, or preferences. I don't know whose microphone is making noise. Could you please mute? Kindly mute so that you don't disrupt. Now, other I am being deliberate in the usage of modal verbs. So you're hearing them everywhere. May, could, would, will, shall, should, okay? These are what we call modal verbs because we've said they express possibility, ability, and preferences. Now, this is going to be an introduction to modal verbs because we may not finish all of them and the purposes they serve in English language at a go. But let's introduce ourselves to some that we can handle in today's lesson. We are continuing to say that can normally expresses ability. I can eat a whole pizza. I am sure there are some who are in agreement wherever they are. Yes, me, I can. It is expressing ability. You can, okay? So that is why we're saying modal verbs express ability. Would expresses preference. I'd rather sleep than do what? Attend a lesson. So you would prefer sleep to attending a lesson. There, you're looking at preference. We have also noted that can and may are also used for polite requests. May I go out? Have you used that before? Excuse me, teacher. May I go for whatever you would be going for? Okay. So you see that the modal verbs serve different purposes, which we have mentioned in the definition. Now, we have to note that modal verbs are used with the base of the verb. What do we mean by the base of the verb? We are talking about the infinitive. We have talked about the infinitive before. I am not sure if people recall. When we talk about the base of the verb, we are simply saying that this verb has not been changed into any other form. Okay? So we've not added the ing, we've not put it in past tense. It is in its raw form. If you are critical, you can recall that in the examples I have used, may I go? I haven't said, may I go now, teacher? May I went? Okay, so the verb go remains in its raw form. All right. Are there any questions at this point? Any questions at all? Okay.
Excuse me, teacher.
Yes, please.
Teacher, can you re-explain what you mean by base of the verb?
Base of the verb is the verb in its raw form, the verb that has not been changed. You know, we change a verb to continuous, to past, to plural forms, okay? So for example, when you have the word go, that is the verb. From go, we can get going, we can get went, we can get gone, okay? Modal verbs use the verb in its raw form. So much as we have go, going, went, gone, it can only go with go. Okay? It takes on go because go is in its raw form. It is the base of the verb. The base of the verb is that verb which we use to change the verb into different verb forms. For example, it is the raw form of the verb, but it can be changed into eating, ate, eaten. Okay? Now, modal verbs go with it. You can't say, can I eaten? Can I eating? Can I ate? You can only say, can I eat this, please? Or I can eat this food. Have I answered your question?
Yes, teacher. Thank you.
Very good. So we are moving on. Now that we know a bit about modal verbs, I want to check on how we can use them in a sentence. So the question modal, okay, modal is modal verb. Complete these sentences with a suitable modal together with the correct form of the verb in brackets. Number one. Now remember we have said correct form of the verb in brackets. I want you to think outside the box to come up with the correct answer. Okay? So there is something I have left out deliberately, but for your answer to be correct, you have to add it. So that was the wrong way to do it. You dash it like this. In brackets, we have the verb do. What do you think the answer will be if you're to have a correct sentence here?
Let's have Davina. Yes, Davina. Davina. We are not getting you. Let's have Charity. Charity.
That was the wrong way to do it. You could have done it like this.
Thank you very much, Davina.
Charity.
Thank you very much. Is that Charity?
Yes.
Yes, teacher.
Okay. Thank you, Charity. Another trial.
We have Tendo. Tendo Tamari. Tendo.
Teacher, I have the same. I have the same. You could have done it like
this. So
yes,
it is
teacher,
only
you could
food. It is only food that can fit there, Tamali. Think.
And maybe you would have done it like this.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Another trial before
Adeke.
I come in.
Adeke. Adeke Faith.
I think that was the wrong way to do it. You should have done it like this.
Very good. Okay, very good. Now, you should is suggesting advice. Remember we talked about it before. When we talk about you would is in this case expressing a past habit. Okay. Could expressing possibility. The best answer would be you should have done it like this. Okay. Now people are going to wonder, teacher, why do we have done? Because the tense in the question here is different. And you can hear that the should and the done are actually making sense. You cannot say you should have do it. Okay, if you're to use it close to the modal verb, then it should be you should do it like this, but the first sentence is in the past tense. I don't know that I make sense.
May you please repeat your
Is it clear?
explanation? Excuse me, may you please repeat your explanation?
That was the wrong way to do it. Okay, that sentence is in the past tense.
Yes.
Okay, so much as we've said you'll use the verb in its raw form, you cannot say you should do it like this, because we are talking about something a person already did that it may be late for them to change. So that that is why in the question we have with the correct form of the verb in brackets. Okay, so I needed you to think and not cram. Okay, so number 2, there were several possibilities. We dash a smaller one, for example. What would the answer be? We are running late, so can we be fast? We are actually past time, so we are going to answer just that, and I'll leave the rest as an assignment. So answer to number 2. There were several possibilities.
Grace? There were several possibilities. We could buy a smaller one, for example.
We could
buy a smaller one, for example.
Have you checked the tense in the first sentence? Is where or were supposed to be a present tense? I am
so can we have Barbara?
Okay.
Barbara.
There were several possibilities. We would have bought a smaller one, for example.
We would have bought a smaller one, for example, or we could have bought a smaller one, because remember, this is already in the past tense. So you've come back from the shop and you're telling your friend that, don't complain because there were several possibilities. We could have bought a smaller one. For example, maybe they're complaining about how expensive something was. Okay. Because we are out of time, you're going to find these questions in the Google Classroom so that we pick off from here next week. However, you have 2 assignments. So you have number 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then you have the very last activity. You have been appointed the environment ambassador in your community. How would you advise people from your community to conserve the environment? Modal verbs are mandatory in your work. So this sends you to read about modal verbs and how they are used. So before you use any word, please find out whether it is a possibility, whether it's for ability, whether it's a preference, okay, whether it shows certainty or uncertainty, okay? So those are the 2 assignments you have: 4 numbers from the exercise and 1 that will require you to research, okay? So you're going to find this work Google Classroom, apart from if you have any other question. Yes?
Excuse me, teacher. How long can the answer for assignment number 2 be? Like, should it be 1 paragraph?
No, it can't be 1 paragraph, because in 1 paragraph, I would expect you to have given only 1 piece of advice, of which it can't be that. Okay, so this is more of an essay question that will require you to really give points, or these points are advice to the people in your community. Okay, so it can't be one paragraph. They could actually be more than 5. Chirabo Hope?